Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and we're joined here with Riley Goldman, Devin Circus, and Jake Circus of the Jake Circus podcast. And this is week 10 already of Jungle Talk, the preview. So I can't, this season's just flying by. Uh, doing the show early. Obviously, we have a Thursday night game scheduling. This was like the only time. I know we don't have any injury. We don't have any news about injuries or practice because it's only 1 o'clock East Coast time, but uh, but we're gonna preview the Bengals game. Jake, since you're here, let's get some everybody's takeaway. We usually don't do this. 24 hours after the Raider game, what are your takeaways from the game last night?
Um, I mean, I don't really have any. The Bengals needed to win, and they did it in convincing fashion. I say all the time they won the middle eight. That was much needed. Get the score before halftime, get the score coming out of halftime, and the game was over. I mean, there's nothing that you needed to watch in the second half. Especially once Ritter came in. It doesn't say anything about the defense. It just they needed to win yesterday, and they did. So, got a big measuring stick game on Thursday on a short week with some injuries, so we'll see how they bounce back. Um, but yeah, I mean they needed to win, and they did. I thought the offense was good,
Yeah, I'll reiterate
thankfully.
something I said. Don't take too much away from this. The Raiders are a bad team. I mean, so we can't, puff up our chests and say, "Oh, here we are." We won a game we're supposed to win. Mims, I thought, looking back, I thought Mims did a pretty good job on Crosby for most of the day, which I
No, he
thought
did
was
a great job.
which
Yeah.
is a positive takeaway. And I'm going to say the wide receiver screen should be shelled. Take it out of the playbook. I don't want to see it again. And the last thing I had was I really hope they don't use the Sunday as an excuse to not make a trade. Oh, look, we're fine. You know what I'm saying? But that was 24 hours later, that's what was on my mind this morning. Before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. Support the channel to show by fans, for fans. Hit the thumbs up, helps us out with the YouTube analytics. And Jake, you do some podcasts. Tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Yep. Jake Circus podcasts on Spotify.
And Riley, tell them where they can find your stuff.
On Spotify at the MFL podcast, EMFL podcast.
So excellent. All right. Well, here we go. Oh, and I want to thank Jake for the Washington money line. Thank you very much on the in the college games. I know it's early, so you probably won't have any picks this week unless you've got a early feeling on something. You'll have to check out Jake's gambling show, which is excellent. So let's jump right into this. The only thing I could think of doing was to look back at the Browns game 2 weeks ago and see if there's anything in the stats. What did the Browns do? Because the Browns went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens 2 weeks ago. And so I try to see, and the biggest glaring statistic I saw was that they went 8 for 15 on third down, and they got the Ravens off the field. The Ravens only went 2 for 10 on third down. So big
So
stat.
let's just do that.
What's that?
Let's just do that.
Yeah, well, obviously, the other thing that comes out is Jameis Winston played basically a perfect game. He had 115 quarterback rating, 3 touchdowns, no picks. So I mean, we know going into Baltimore to win this game, we're going to have a stellar game from Joe. Our defense has to play inspired, and we have to get because statistically, the Browns lost the turnover battle. I mean, there were a lot of stats that they did not win, but situationally they got off the field. When they needed to. You hold a team 2 for 10 on third down, the good things are going to happen. That's a big stat. So that's what I was looking at. I don't know what anything else. If you guys have anything that you wanted to bring up in terms of your feelings about the game coming up.
The Ravens are a weird team. A lot of it is reputational year over year. Oh, they've got a vaunted great defense. Oh, Lamar can't throw the ball. They're giving up a lot of points this year. They're scoring a ton of points. Jake and I were talking about it last night. We were incredibly shocked to see that Lamar Jackson leads the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's not
Yeah.
running as much. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. Derrick Henry is a huge weapon that they've got this year. They're an all-around good very good football team, but they're not all that. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not all that mega. They're not elite. They're not on the same page as Kansas. They're beatable. They're going to give up points. If we play the way we played, look, there was a lot on Twitter last night about facial reactions with Joe Burrow. Burrow had a moment that the cameras caught when Burton was sitting down. A lot of people kind of read into some of the things that took place in the locker room. Very stoic Burrow. Apparently, when Zach gave him the game ball, he threw it back. He doesn't want it.
Right.
He wasn't happy after last night. Joe Burrow's on a freaking mission.
Right.
And, when you
Yeah.
think about yesterday, Chase Brown was great. Defense did a good job. Our number 2, 3, and 4 receivers, Yoshavash, who had 1 reception, Trent Irwin, and I don't remember the guy's name who was our number 4.
Pryor.
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 Joe Burrow's a one-man band right now. Can that continue? Sure, he's good enough. But then I go back to the Ravens are a good team, and this one's in Baltimore. Short week, and I don't know if I really said anything, but that's kind of how I feel about this one.
No, it's we don't know if we're going to have Brown back, Orlando Brown. We don't know if he'll be back. I tend to think that Zach and T were held out so they'd be ready for this week, and maybe
Well, I don't know about
Brown.
I don't know about Zach. I saw something last night that he might be going on IR with the neck, which is why there's a lot of because Jake and I were talking about this last night. If Moss is coming back, why is there so much talk about trading for a running back?
Right, I saw that
Find
too
the two of
on
them.
social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke on. Obviously, we know they need edge help, a cornerback help, but there's been a lot of talk on a running back. So, Trevion's not the answer. Chase Brown is great. You definitely need another one. So
Right.
I don't know, but that would be interesting. And speaking of injuries, rough news on Eric All did come out last night. He's done for the year. That's a big, big hit. He's been great.
Yeah. We're gonna miss his blocking too. People don't realize it's
That's
not
what
the
I mean. That's the
yeah, I
biggest
mean,
impact he's
it's
had.
not he was an every down tight end because he could stay in there and get the dirty stuff done too. And he
Yep.
looked a whole lot better than Sample catching passes. So
Well, and the best thing about him, and Jake hit on this early in the year with so many options. I mean, he's almost like a Swiss Army knife. He was being fullback, tight end blocking. You didn't. One of the biggest slights on the Bengals these past years is you knew what we were going to run based on what tight ends were on the field. And with Eric All, he provided, that wasn't the case. And hopefully we don't fall back to that. And, that was something Jake was on early this year.
right. So Riley, you want to throw anything in there?
I mean, I am not hopeful for this game unless we have T back. I think T opening up the field is what's going to make this game. I mean, we know it's not going to be a defensive game for either team. It's going to come down to the offense who just scores more points and has more touchdowns, which I mean, obviously every game comes down to that, but both of these defenses are weak. Both of them give up a ton of points. It's going to come down, and we need our weapons. Gesicki was great this week,
Yep.
but I think we need at least 3 receivers. I'm counting Gesicki as a receiver in this case, but we need at least 3 guys going, and unless T's back, I don't see us winning this game.
No,
Right.
that's a great point, and I was kind of thinking about that last night. It flashed me back to I want to say it was the Kansas City game 2 years ago when Jamar was hurt, and we were saying the same thing. There's no way we can beat Kansas City without Jamar. It's almost throw him out there as a decoy. If T's close enough to, hopefully he's 100% and can go, but if he's close enough to going, freaking throw him out there as a decoy and open it up for Jamar and Gesicki. Let's hope.
Right. No, I agree. I think T is the pivotal piece. Love to have Orlando Brown back as well. But we need T this week. If we're going to win this game, we have to have T. Obviously, we won't know till later in the week. Bengals keep their, what's the schedule in terms of a practice? Well, it's just an accelerated week.
Yeah,
So,
we'll get injury news today. They'll do a walkthrough and then they'll do something else tomorrow. Then they'll travel Wednesday.
right.
So
So, anybody
they
think?
will get it we'll get injury news. They'll do their designations on their mock practice. But I mean that they're not going to install anything on a short week.
Oh,
So
no, no. What was the news on BJ Hill, the rib? How did you get any reports on that? If we didn't hear anything, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, so
uh
I got to figure he's out there this week, or at least available on a rotational basis. So, all right, so it's
yeah,
this
Zach
team.
said today just now
I found
he's
that.
not ruling out T in Orlando, but better news than he thought on BJ Hill.
Yep.
Okay, so that means we probably have BJ Hill in there, and yeah, we're hoping for T. So, um, and feel free when we do our predictions to say, hey, this is the score with T, this is the score without T, because I think we all are in agreement that we need T to win this game. Would have been would have been really nice if like Burton had, not gone rogue and actually gotten in some quality time and showed some stuff. We would have transitioned into this game where he would have been an option. I don't even know if they play him this week. I mean, he could be inactive again. I
You
mean,
know,
Zach said he's not holding, there's no further punishment, all this other stuff. But then you read he showed up in his pajamas to the state. I mean, you're just, and I don't know if that's just internet stuff or what, but I mean,
I could give two squats what the guys show up in. I mean, some of Joe Burrow's outfits are
might
off
as
the
well be pajamas. Yeah.
right. This is the optimist in me. This is the I'm drinking the Bengals Kool-Aid. I almost think that if it's going to happen for Burton, it'll happen after this past week because I got to think that this is rock bottom for him.
Right.
Because if anything else happens, he's cut, traded, gone. There was a lot of player. Whatever the issues were in the first 6, 7, 8 weeks, yeah, he was active a couple times. Everything was quiet and everything was hush hush. Everything came out yesterday. Burrow talked about it. Mike Hilton talked about it. The quotes were very direct, and it was, there's nobody babysitting you here. It's time to grow up and be a man, and et cetera, et cetera. And there were several people, Burrow and Hilton specifically, two leaders on each side of the ball that said it. Zach was very direct. So if it's going to happen I'm not saying he's going to go for 6 and 110 this week. I'm just saying if the turnaround is going to happen, he hit rock bottom this weekend. If it's
Yeah.
not going to happen, he's going to be gone and will never be a factor.
Right. Well, you know what? How you respond to your failures says a lot about you. You learn more
Yeah.
about a person, off of their defeats and losses than you and their low points. It's easy to win and it's easy to succeed. You don't learn a lot about a person's,
Yep.
makeup. You learn more when they're tested. So, let's see. Hopefully he's got some common sense going through his head. Um,
Yep.
so this is kind of a real fork in the road game for us. I mean, we win
Oh,
this
this is
game.
everything.
I mean, we get to 5-5. We get to 2-1 on a division, and we give the Ravens their second division loss, right? We still have the Browns and two more Steeler games. So, I
Yep.
mean, this is big. It's in a lot of ways. So it's you know, we look back and you just wish the hold had been better and McPherson would have made that kick because it'd be a lot different if we had won the first one.
You
But
still think that's why we lost that game, huh?
no, I'm just that we had a lot of reasons why and you can go back. We have, I think, 30 minutes up as to why we lost that game. But all of that is erased if that doesn't happen. So, um,
This game is so big, Mark, in terms of you hit it on the head, fork in the road. This game's going to define the rest of the season. I just pulled up the schedule. We win this game, I could make a case that we could win out and win the division. We lose this game, I don't know. It's
yeah,
a completely different path.
yeah.
November, December Joe. Let's see it.
Yeah, no, it's what we need. So it's just a big game. I mean, I just had that down there. It's like fork in the road. Uh, it becomes a really, really difficult if we lose this game. There's literally no wiggle room. I actually really liked Joe's response yesterday at the presser saying, "Hey, yesterday was nothing. It was nothing. Beating the Raiders is nothing.
Right.
So I kind of like that demeanor. I think that will play well in the locker room. People gravitate to him, they feed off him, and I like that mindset going into this week. And like I said, we seem to play Baltimore well. I mean,
Always.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no surprise what they did to Bo Nix yesterday. Harbaugh and a rookie quarterback in Baltimore. Gee, what a shock! It's like,
Yeah.
so no, this is the game. So
And I didn't
I
really
mean,
go through that box score, but didn't Bo Nix had a pretty good game, didn't he?
it was okay. No, his only touchdown he received. It was a Philly special type play.
No, I knew that, but
yeah.
I thought his numbers were all
If
right.
It was
you
No,
okay.
if you
19 for
replay that
33.
if you replay that game again, Denver scores more points. But again, that's a structurally bad team. You know, I don't know. Watching that game, it was like the Broncos were getting explosive plays, but they weren't converting. They turned it over on downs twice. They went 0 for 2 on goal to go. So it was, the Ravens defense. That I'm not going away from that thinking, oh, the Ravens defense like fixed all their problems
Hmm.
because they stopped Bo Nix on third and fourth down. I mean, the Ravens are worse than us in EPA per play on defense, which is something. I didn't know how
Right.
it's possible.
No, the Broncos I don't think had beaten a team that had more than 2 wins. I think there was something a stat I saw. So they had feasted. Their wins were all off of bad teams, much like ours. So, but we have 2 games that we can point to where we were playing elite teams in the Ravens and the Chiefs, where we were one play away from winning those games.
The
So
Bengals are a missed 53-yarder away from being ahead of Baltimore in the AFC North.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
I'm I
So
think the part of this game that's the scariest is the fact that they put up 41 against the Broncos. Zay Flowers had 126 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they didn't even input Deontay Johnson into the mix yet. I mean, that's just gonna open up. I mean, Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar are their 2 and 3. You add Deontay Johnson in there, it's a completely different offensive team, and they're already on fire. So I'm nervous about it, honestly.
yeah. All right. Well, anybody got anything else, or we want to go straight to predictions? The over under is 52 right now. The line is Bengals get 6. That's where it opened. Opened 6.5. It's at 6 now. Um, it's bouncing back and forth between 52.5, 52. So that's figuring 3 touchdowns per team, some field goals. That's kind of what you're looking at. Um, who wants to go first? Let's mix it up.
Riley,
Riley,
you're
you
up.
go first.
I mean, I can take it.
Go for it.
I'm really back and forth on this game. If T plays, I think it's a field goal difference either way. It's just whether I've been bouncing back and forth, but I'm gonna be hopeful with this one. We got the Bengals 30-27. I don't think it's as high of a scoring game as the last one, even though both offenses showed this week that they could put up a ton of points, but I think it's 30-27 Bengals.
Yeah. This is a week where both teams put up a 40 spot, right?
Yeah.
Coming into this week, the week before. So, all right, who wants to go next?
Jake,
I'll
you want
go.
it?
I don't think the Bengals are up for it. Like, I don't think the Ravens are really all that. But I think we'll play them close like we always do. I think Joe will give us a chance. But I don't think the Bengals are up for it. I don't think this coaching staff's up for it on a short week. I'll go 31-27 Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm in a similar mindset. I had a 31-28 kind of game. Um, and it could go either way. And so I'll say if T plays, we got the 31, and if we don't have T, we're probably on the short end. That's that's where I'm at. So, but I think the over 52, I'd tease it for sure. Get in the 40s, and I think both the teaser lines for the teams, you'd have well, no, I think the Bengals, I'd take the 13. I think 13. I think the game's closer than that.
So I truly have no feel on this game, and I don't think it's just because it's Monday.
Yeah.
you have no idea what to expect from this team. You know what you're going to get from Baltimore. So I'm just going to drink the Kool-Aid and think that we're going to make a run, and it's going to start with this one. So I am going to go 33-31 Bengals.
I like it. I like it. So hopefully we have T back this week. I mean, we all agree he's a key component to us winning this
Yep.
week.
Yep.
So, all right. Hey, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. Support the channel, hit the bell so you know when our videos go up. We'll do a recap right after the game on Thursday. And Jake, please tell them where they. Oh, put your score predictions down. Let everyone, because like I said, we're all kind of in a quandary. So feel free to throw that in the comments. Jake, tell them where they can find your stuff.
Yep, Jake Circus podcast on Spotify. Full picks also are on my Twitter. Had a good week, winning week in college and NFL this week.
Yeah, I had a good week
Finally.
too. And Riley, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, check out the MFL podcast, EMFL on Spotify. Two episodes a week, one preview, one recap. Should be filming the preview tomorrow.
Right. And throw the link in the comments so people can find it. All right. With that, I hope everybody has a good week. We'll see you after hopefully a Bengals win on Thursday. And I'm going to say, hoo day, everybody. Take care.
Who dat?
Who dat?
Good day.